Hey folks, for this month's talking about how to solve puzzles, I want to do this talk. So this is about online word finders and a little bit of history behind this. This is a talk that I have given out to folks every so often. I did it a couple times on Palindrome when I was on that team. I've also had these conversations more informally with folks from various teams, and I kind of wanted to just put it all um, in a central area. So that's why I'm going to do it up on my YouTube here. This is talking about the different online word finders there are. This is not comprehensive by any means. There's plenty of tools out there. Yeah, there's plenty of tools, but there's still a couple main ones that I used, a couple ones that people should be aware of. Um, yeah. On that note, most of the screenshots are from 2020. I updated like one or two of them, but they all, while the site may not look exactly correct, the thing I went to make sure that it will look mostly the same, and uh, statements that I say about it are true. So does not have focus on there. There we go. So there's five word finders I'm going to talk about. You've got One Look, Nutramatic, Cat, Mystery Hunter's Word Search, and QHex. Uh, these five, I think, are a good set of five to have. I use mostly the first three, although every so often I come up with something that Mystery Hunter's Word Search or QHex is really good at. Um, you want to pick one to be kind of your primary. For me, that's Nutramatic. Uh, but then the other ones you should just be aware that they exist so you know when you're better off using them. Oh, and I'm going to put all these slides. I'm going to put a link to the share of the slides in the description, so you can click on all these links instead of having to type them. Okay. So One Look is a dictionary search specifically. So whereas most of these word finders are searching through uh, just lists of words devoid of their meaning, this One Look is more built around working through words and their definitions. So the primary use of word finders is like this: you have an answer that's giving you the letters YOU something, AN something something, ER something, S, LE something, E something something, G something. And you're like, all right, well, we're not going to be able to get the rest of these clues. We'd love to just get the answer from this. So you type this, so somebody looks at this and goes, aha, the first part of that is your answer is. Great. So everything from the L onward is what we're looking for. So in One Look, a single question mark is a wildcard representing exactly one letter. So you can put in uh, LE something, or LE question mark, E question mark, G question mark, and it will spit out leverage. So the answer you're looking for is probably leverage. One Look runs the query as you're typing, which can save you a little bit of time, but it's not that big of a deal overall. Now, where One Look's strength is in definitions. Uh, so because what it can do is look up words that mean something or are close in meaning to something. I mentioned here particularly useful for cryptic clues, where you've got a definition and a crossing. So this query that I've put here is r star colon melt. And so what's that's doing is the colon is splitting the search into two parts. The r star is asking about the word itself, and the melt is talking about its definition. So r star means it needs to begin with the letter r, but be any length whatsoever. The star is just any number of letters after that. And then melt is the definition. So I want words that have a definition to melt or are close in meaning to melt. And this spits out a list of words. And you can see here the number one answer is run. That's probably what I'm going to start with, assuming that it works for whatever other stuff is in here. But you can see this other stuff, refreezing is, connected in definition, although maybe not, uh, it is an antonym in a way. Reseed, there's another stuff, but this really wants run as an answer. The nice thing is that words are sorted by relevance. So while there's all of these different words, it is telling you these ones with, like, in the beginning here are going to be more likely to be your answer. You can also ask for part of speech. Cool. And then you also can get a number of other criteria you can put with. So this starts with R, but you could also, get number of syllables or number of letters in it, just in case you want, you find out you have a lot of answers and you want to uh, filter them even more. So one look's main weakness is that it has much, it has okay wildcard support. So what I mean by that is if you look here, it kind of cuts off a little bit, but like these are all of its wildcard support down here, the pattern symbols, question mark, any letter, star, any number of letters, octothorpe, consonant, at sign, vowel, disallow letters, restrict to letters, unscramble, right? That's all it's got. That is powerful. Like, don't get me wrong, that is a very powerful thing, but it also is uh not the strongest and most capable versions of this that we can have. So uh that's where that's where it yeah, it's just not it doesn't do as many strong word manipulations because it's got all the definition stuff in there. So you're really using one look when you want the definition stuff. Um or you're doing pretty basic queries. There was also some shenanigans with OneLook in the past about how it treated spaces in multi-word phrases, whether it counted as a letter or not. When I went back to redo stuff for this, it seemed like it was treating them better than before. So it's probably fine, but that was a concern in the past. All right, so here's Nutramatic. Nowadays, you're going to be redirected to one of two versions of Nutramatic. Importantly, there was, in fact, I can just pull it up here really quickly. Yeah, so this one is the 2024 one. There is the classic original 2016. So the difference between Nutramatic and the one of the differences about Nutramatic is that its dictionary is a web crawl of Wikipedia. And so in 2016, when this got put up, somebody just went through all the Wikipedia titles, Wikipedia article titles, and other text, I believe, and just put them all into the word list, and that was what it ran off of. This is both good and bad. But of course, the problem is that they did this in 2016 and never updated it until somebody else refreshed it in 2024. Which, no shade on the original person who did that for Nutramatic. They're a great person. I believe it's Dan Agnor who did it. He's a great guy. Does cool stuff. But it was starting to get a bit out of date and missing some current references, and so it got updated in 2024. And now so now it's still more modern. The reason why the 2016 version is still available is because of puzzles like Nutramatic. There were some puzzles that were built specifically around the 2016 word list. For most of the things that you're going to do, you don't care. All right, so once again, let's do the your answer is leverage dealio. This time, instead of using a question mark as a letter, Nutramatic uses the capital letter A. In particular, with Nutramatic, you have to be careful. Lowercase stands for itself. Uppercase is a wild card. And in fact, some of the different wild cards have different meanings. You can see A, C, and V each have different meanings. And it will run into trouble if you try to use a wild card capital letter that it doesn't recognize. So this will spit out here. This is run on the 2016 version, so you'll probably get a different exact stuff now. But Um, you're going to get almost certainly get leverage at the top. Words are sorted in size once again by relevance. So you get to look at the top and see, oh, okay, cool. This is what is most likely. If you go to the second page of a Nutramatic query that's been sorted by relevance, you're either very desperate or you should try to constrain your search more. Note that this also does two word. We'll have multi-word phrases as well. And in fact, there's sometimes where I've just been able to in Nutramatic just put in the essentially the enumeration in just an A, capital A's, and it just gives me the phrase I want, which is pretty sweet. Okay, so Nutramatic strengths. Its word list is gathered from Wikipedia, which means it includes proper names. So unlike One Look, which may not necessarily have uh, proper names or place names in it, uh, this will have them because it's looking at Wikipedia articles. Significantly stronger wildcard support. I'm not going to go through all of this. I did say this bullet point just the same as regular expressions. I have copied what they mean in regular expressions here, so that you can see if you're not familiar with regular expressions. Uh, yeah, so this is an example. One common thing that Nutramatic is used for is like letters in a group. So this is pulled from like regular expressions. If you have like bracket M N O, what that's saying is choose one letter of M, N, or O, and that's what goes there. So this is describing a uh, 7-letter word. First letter is T, U, or V. The second letter is D, E, F. The third one is J, K, L. And the reason why I bring this up is because phone spell is a very good example of this. That if you try to put in telecom on a phone pad, you would get 835 3266. And if you're telling me that's not how T9 works, I would go, yes, I know. I dealt with texting when I was a kid too. We've lost that war. Uh, Nutramatic has a lot of different examples for how to use it. A lot of these are pulled from the Microsoft 123 Hunt, if I remember correctly. It was Microsoft Hunt 12 and 13 combined together. So you can see that they link to the puzzles and then link to how you would use them in to help solve that puzzle. And these examples are really good for understanding how to use some things like the ampersand. The ampersand is one of the strongest operators on Nutramatic, which is basically saying we want this characteristic and we want this characteristic at the same time. So an example might be I want like for a letter bank, I want at most one of each of these 12 letters, but I need it to be exactly an 8-letter word is a great way of doing that. Uh, but yeah, just look through. There's some really, really great examples here. Okay. Uh, so Nutramatic weaknesses. Because word list is based off Wikipedia, there's a lot of garbage. And sometimes you get some entries and you look it up and it's like, oh yeah, this is a town in Kansas, and it's like, well, cool, glad you exist, but not really up to meeting the notability standards of what I was hoping for in a puzzle answer. Might doesn't mean it's not the answer, but sometimes it's just like, well, I get that you think this is really relevant, but it's not. Or just like some random last name that's of like 3 or 4 different people. So it can make things look like answers that are not. There's only one word list on it. You can't change it. Uh, it's also true of One Look, but not true of the next one we're going to talk about. It implements a subset of regular expressions as opposed to all of regular expressions. Um, that's fine. For those who are, it is in some ways the worst of both worlds. In that, if you know regular expressions, there's some stuff that's not in there that you might get confused by, and if you're not familiar with regular expressions, then you aren't necessarily going to know everything that you can do. And either way, there's some extra syntax based on top of it, so it's a little weird, but honestly not too hard to learn. Also, nutramatic inputs can sometimes get really long depending on what you're doing. At this point, if I have a really long nutramatic um, input, then I'm building it in Google Sheets at this point, which was not true when I made this presentation. It does help that the in the name spreadsheet name functions I mentioned a couple videos ago, uh, one of the functions basically just like turns something into a nutramatic query, which is really nice. All right, now let's talk about cat. Uh, as you can see, this is a screenshot from 2020, but this is cat. It is a word pattern matcher. And so once again, using your answers leverage, not legendary, leverage as an example, you can use a period as a wildcard representing exactly one letter. So you can type in le.e.g. and it will spit out leverage. So here's me uh, running that query, and it's spouting out exactly the word leverage. Note that once again, the letters that we do know here are lowercase, and because uppercase letters mean something very different in cat, and we'll get to that. It's cat's biggest strength, but we'll get to it. There's a lot of different possibilities. Uh, I've highlighted here, I think the two biggest ones is that this allows for ranges of letters, and that it allows you to say not certain letters. So what this is saying is in this letter, it could be anything except S, T, or Z. Uh, and you'd be like, well, that exclamation point is not, uh, isn't that just regular expressions? Yeah, but it's not in dramatic. So it's really nice for uh, when you're doing stuff. Um, yeah, it's better than nutramatic in that respect. We also have the nice consonants and vowels part that we had from one look before. So this example, H through K. So the first letter is H through K. The second letter is not a vowel or the letter N. And then there's three more letters. They can be whatever. So it's every 5-letter word being with H, I, J, or K, and a second letter that is not A, E, I, O, U, or N, which there's only 170 of. Okay. Uh, so there's lots of different options for pattern matching. There's tons of stuff. I'm not going to go over all of them. There's different dictionaries available. This is a key thing about CAT. It defaults to the UKACD, which is the United Kingdom Advanced Cryptics Dictionary, which is a dictionary. It has a lot of Britishisms in it. It has a lot of more obscure words that are probably not at the level which you will need for the puzzles you are solving. Um, uh, there's uh, yeah, there's a lot of interesting entries, I would say. Actually, since I just realized I didn't check this one to see if it was updated. There is another dictionary in CAT called Broda. That's what I use as my default for searching at this point because it just seems to have given a better percentage of hits that are like words that I'm comfortable being answers or comfortable using in puzzles. Sowpods is not bad, but it again. Just try some searches on UKACD and you'll see there's some shenanigans with it. Now, big thing here is it can operate on pieces of words in addition to individual words. Let's talk about that. So let's say we have a puzzle where words in one column are split in half. The halves switched, and then a letter is added between them, like manic to Iceman. And we also know that each of the halves has been 2 or more letters long. So we're trying to extract the added letters, and for for some reason we think that one of the letters is going to be O. So we want to see what the words are that have an O as that extracted. So that is what this that is what this cat search does. So A and B are going to be 2 strings, capital A and capital B. A capital letter represents a string of 1 or more letters. So we want A, B. That semicolon says, okay, that has to be a word. A, B has to be an entry in whatever dictionary we're searching. BOA says, okay, now another word that has to be in your dictionary is the string B in the same order it was before with an O and then a capital A. Sorry, and then the string represented by capital A. Again, in the same order it was. And then this says, okay, the length of A must be at minimum 2. And this says the length at B must be at minimum 2. So this query is saying 4 things. There must be a word consisting of string A plus string B. There must be a word consisting of string B, the letter O, string A. String A must be at least 2 letters long, and string B must be at least 2 letters long. And so this is what you get. And you get some really interesting things. So like West and Stowe, you can see this is one response. It's going to be it. So string A for us is WE, string B is ST, and it uses a dot to separate where it made the separation, and then we have STOWE. So if I'm looking at this, I'm like, ooh, this Regal Galore is really good. Rain Ignore, right? I'm looking at some good possibilities. Strep Repost. There's some good things here that I can look at. And I'd be like, well, this feels a little weird for trying to solve a puzzle. And sometimes you're trying to solve forwards, and sometimes you're trying to solve backwards, and Cat is really good at that kind of backwards solving. It's also really good for puzzle writing for the same reason. So this is called the equation solver, by the way. These are each equations essentially that is trying to solve. When you're not using the equation solver, the output is not in the most readable format. It's hard to scan. You can have you can see this, right? That's 170 words, and it's just each one split by a space. It could be hard to process every single one. Whereas once it has like this equation solver kind of thing, it then puts each entry on a new line. So that's nice. The syntax is well documented, but it's very different from other word finders. So you do have to keep in mind that Cat is just essentially a different language, and you often have to look it up. I consistently, for a while, have to look up the anagram. Although now the anagram is actually close to one look, which is nice. There's also one thing that uses a backtick, which is a fun thing to try to do, and then wonder why you're getting wrong partway through. Yeah. There's also these categories. I have not had good luck with categories, but it's kind of doing the one look definition thing. So it can do it, and you can give it a try. I have not had good luck with it, and I would rather just use one look. But it is there. I'm going to talk about the other two because I don't use them as much. Mystery Hunter's word search is basically a regular expression tool with other stuff built on top of it. As it kind of implies, it is, as far as I'm aware, built by a mystery hunter. I mean, its name is a meta puzzle answer, or sorry, its URL is a meta puzzle answer. So yeah, it's a regular expression parser with a bunch of other stuff built on top of it. The times I have used it, it's been really good. I've really enjoyed it. well, enjoyed is a strong word for a tool like this, but like it's been very powerful and I've been pretty happy with it. Here's your basic example. Uh, Once again, a dot is a wildcard representing exactly one letter. So you put in LE dot E dot dot G dot. But because it's a regular expression, it is built on regular expressions, you have to put in the caret on the beginning and the dollar sign on the end to represent the beginning and end of the word. Because if regular expressions is a regular expression parser is not going to look for exactly that. It's going to look for that string anywhere possible in any word, including in the middle of words. So this says leverage is also a possible thing if you don't put those two in. It's built on regular expressions. I mean, that's the biggest strength, right? If you are familiar with regular expressions because of work or hobbies or whatever, you're good to go. All my knowledge of regular expressions is based off regex crossword because I don't use regular expressions that much. Although I've used it more than when I first started making it because regex replaces a nice function in Google Sheets. It also has a lot of different dictionaries. This is, I think, its biggest advantage. Yeah, and this was in 2020. I don't know what it is nowadays, but yeah, this is really nice. Its biggest weakness is again regular expressions. As you can see on this homepage, it explains this stuff in the tiniest text possible. Um, so if you're not familiar with this, you kind of want to look it up somewhere else. All right, and this is QHex. So QHex is this is the wordplay tool, but importantly for QHex, there are a bunch of different tools. There's I think 11 different tools, and QHex is can do a lot of different things. It can it was when it first came out and we first noticed it could do a lot of weird things with extraction or whatnot that we thought was going to be kind of like a defining we were worried was going to be a defining tool um that like made certain puzzles uh left certain kinds of puzzles along the wayside. um Basically it has this extraction feature where you can just put in a table full of data and it will try like all sorts of different extractions, um all sorts of different ways until it found stuff that worked and it would spit out things that worked. And the we were worried it was going to be like technology to the level of changing how puzzles were solved, much like Shazam for music identification puzzles. It turns out that that is not the case. It is a perfectly fine method, and I haven't really been tempted to use the extraction tool of QHex that much. And two, it's very laughable now in the world that we have of AI. There's no denying though that it has a lot of strong functions and operations that it can do. That's another fun one. I could talk about it a lot, but it's better for you to just play around with it than it is for me to just be talking a lot here. It has a lot of similar stuff to Mystery Hunter's word searcher. Um, the the commands that it does have, it does better than cat. It is not, however, up to the full strength of cat, in my opinion. So I generally tend to use cat more often because momentum and old habits and all that fun stuff. But there's no denying that there's some stuff that QHex is very good for. I particularly like its output format, especially for some of the more complicated things it can do. So yeah, I've kind of highlighted. I in my mind I group them like this. I use Nutramatic and more, but I consider Mystery Hunter's word search and QHex in kind of the same uh, group as Nutramatic in kind of like my general word finder. I use cat when I want to pull out the equation solver and or do some sort of other like really complicated thing like that. And one look when I want to do stuff with definitions. Um, so hopefully you learned about one word finder that you hadn't before. These are all things where I could tell you a lot about these tools, but really the best thing you're going to do to learn these tools is to play around with them. Um, so just mess around with it. In particular, if you're watching this when it goes live, there's a great hunt coming up that you can practice stuff with. Got the Brown Puzzle Hunt. Um, at this point, if you're watching this, you probably aren't just running off to Providence, but in that's the in-person event. Remote hunt begins April 18th, which is a week and a half from when this video is going live. Brown Puzzle Hunt has always been a uh, great time every time I've done it, either in person or remote. So a great place for you to practice using these because I know as a teacher I can tell you all the things that you want, but nothing's going to be practice. All right, if you enjoyed this video, please pop a like down there. If you subscribe, I put out videos every Wednesday, either with me solving puzzles or me talking about and teaching about solving puzzles. Yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.